Hey there, admins. How we doing? Got a video today. It's going to cover a little bit about CDC and the coronavirus, and also something that's affecting all of our lodges now is the QuickBooks change to online. So it's an important video. This past weekend, actually, we were at a state meeting and we were discussing about communications. If you are an admin viewing this and you have an office assistant, make sure you share this video with them, and vice versa. If you're one of those office assistants that gets your usually ends up seeing the emails, make sure your administrator or governor, if you don't have an administrator, sees this email or sees this video, so they kind of know what's going on. First thing we want to cover is COVID-19 in the lodges and public and what the rules are right now. A lot of things have changed since May, and we still have a lot of lodges going by those rules that were in effect back in May. So I'm going to cover what the CDC is saying right now. Now, some of these things may change locally in your county if your county has changed rules. Right now, the majority of the state of Indiana is in orange, and a lot of those counties have not made up their own plans. When the governor came out, on November 16th and said it was up to counties, a lot of those counties haven't done anything, except for those counties kind of like Indianapolis, the Marion County area, up near Chicago. Those counties, there are a few counties that have implemented stuff, some down by Louisville, that are a little bit different. So I'm not covering what they're making you do inside the social quarters as far as restricting numbers and things like that, because it's different for every county now. But what's important we're having the lodges shutting down for a long period of time when they don't need to, or some extremely long times. The CDC now says that if someone comes in close contact with somebody that has tested positive for COVID-19, and what is close contact? They are saying within 6 feet for more than 15 minutes. So that's one standard right there. Also, if they think they've come in contact with someone they know is COVID-19 positive, they need to self-quarantine for 3 days, 72 hours. If they have no symptoms, they are fine. They don't necessarily have to get tested. Matter of fact, the hospitals and such aren't automatically giving tests upon request anyways, unless you're going to one of those pop-up places. Anyways, at 3 days, if they have no symptoms, they can come out of self-quarantine. That doesn't mean the lodge has to close down for 3 days or anything like that. It just depends on who's getting sick in the lodge, and we'll cover that here towards the end. If they've come in contact with someone who is COVID-19 positive and within those 3 days get symptoms, they need to quarantine for another 7 days for a total of 10 days. At that time, it is suggested that they get tested just to make sure. So, just because you have a member that comes in and then a few days later you find out that they were COVID-19 positive, well, first of all, it's a few days past already. That's a problem. So you don't know who necessarily came in contact. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But what you have to remember is we don't shut the lodge down 3 days after we think someone might have been in there that had COVID-19. We know the virus isn't lasting much longer outside the body than 3 hours. So actually by the next day, the lodge is technically clean. Although we're still suggesting you go in and do deep cleans and sterilize, and it makes your members just feel a little more safe that the lodge is trying to do something. Also, a lot of lodges have went out and bought those misting sterilizing machines. They cost about anywhere from $250 to $350. Then it kind of has the fine mist with the sanitizer in it, and you kind of quickly go over bar stools and chairs and things like that. And we don't, of course, we recommend sanitizing anyways. When I was an administrator at my lodge, after bingo, after the seniors dances and certain nights that were busy, I always had a can of Lysol would go along the bar stools and the chairs and the bingo hall, the reception hall chairs and things like that anyways. So we always recommend doing that anyways, especially now that we're in flu and cold season. So what we need to remember is if someone's come in contact with someone and they think they have COVID-19, again, they need to self-quarantine for 3 days, 72 hours. No symptoms, they're okay. If they have those symptoms, then they need to quarantine for another 7 days for a total of 10. The lodge does not need to close down for 14 days. The CDC, and nobody's even recommending the 14-day status anymore. That was just a a number they threw out early on because they thought that would be safe, and that's now changed. Now, let's just say you have a member come in that was COVID-19 positive, and they were there for a while and they talked to some people. It's fine to let members know that there was someone in the lodge that had COVID-19 on whatever day, maybe post a sign or something like that. If you have an employee, it's a little different. Let's say you have an employee and we know they're COVID-19 positive, and they worked for an entire day and they came in contact with 100 members. At that point, you might want to go ahead and close down for the 72 hours, put a notice that someone in the lodge had it. You can even put an employee had it, but you cannot name names. Even if you know the member or the employee, it is against HIPAA regulations to say who it was. Now, granted, some small lodges may only have one bartender there during the day, so they kind of figured out who it is, but you're not supposed to be telling them who individually had it. Now, let's move on to something else now. Let's move on to the QuickBooks migration. We all knew it was coming. We've already done our test lodge in southern Indiana. It's time to start moving everybody else, but it's going to come out in stages, and it depends on what version of QuickBooks you have. So, anybody that is currently on 2019 or 2020 QuickBooks and is using the actual payroll module, paying extra for that payroll module, you are going to be switched over by someone from actually QuickBooks, someone from the company Intuit. They will be contacting you. They'll give you those instructions. They will not be doing that until after January 1st. They want to be able to keep your payroll for the fiscal year 2020 a little more simple for you, so they're going to wait to do that conversion afterwards. For anybody that has 2013 to 2017 or 18, those are going to be migrated over by the financial review specialist, Glenn Neal from Ohio. Some of you may have met him before. He's going to be doing that. He's going to be doing that online from home. There will be instructions that will come out. You'll get a letter. It'll tell you what you have to do. Basically, what you're going to have to do is back up your QuickBooks, have a current one. He'll give you an address that has a Dropbox that you'll send that file to. He'll switch you over. At that point, once you're switched over, your old QuickBooks doesn't matter anymore. You won't have to use it anymore unless you need it for some information. But going forward, you will not put any new information into the old QuickBooks on your computer. It'll all be done online. Then for anybody that has 2013 and below, I will be doing those conversions because you cannot go straight from 2007 to QuickBooks Online. It doesn't work. I have to take your copy of 2007 or whatever you're using and convert it to 2013 and then go from 2013 to QuickBooks Online. So that's how it's going to work. Those lodges will get a letter from me. It'll have the instructions. Same thing, some of the lodges that have a little more tech savvy and know what they're doing, I'm going to contact them. We'll be doing it online. I'll probably be doing it from home. Don't worry, lodges out there, they're like, hang on, I barely can turn the computer on. Those lodges, I'm going to come to your lodge. I'm going to actually do the download itself and put it online and do that work for you. Now, once you're online, everybody's going to have their own username and password. So when whether it's Intuit that contacts you, Glenn Neal, or myself, you can have up to 3 people with an account for your lodge to do QuickBooks Online. So normally that's probably going to be the administrator, an office assistant if there is one, and some lodges that have an accountant to get in, they'll have access also. What we'll need from them is their email address that they want sent to. That will be their username. They will get an invite. They will make up their own password. Even I won't be able to know what their password is. That way that whoever it is, they can't say I got in and did something under their name, because I'll have my own username and password also. The reason why they're doing that, they want to know who's in QuickBooks and who's doing what, so that, Bob the administrator can't say that Sue the office assistant did something and she's not the one to blame for a big mistake. Also, when an administrator or an office assistant or whoever has access to those QuickBooks Online, when they leave the program, when they are no longer doing QuickBooks, they've left the lodge, they're no longer working for the lodge, or they're not doing the bookkeeping for the lodge anymore, I need to know that immediately. We will remove them from access from QuickBooks, and then if you add somebody later on, same process. I need to know their email. They get an email if they create their own password. Don't freak out too much about the conversion. The conversion itself is fairly simple. QuickBooks Online looks a little different. It's a little more streamlined. So some people that have been really good with QuickBooks are having a little bit of trouble with it because it's like, well, that category is not there anymore, or this process of how I've done my daily receipts are not there anymore, or it's done differently. It's going to take some time to getting used to. We're going to give you some time to get used to doing that. I'm not overly familiar with QuickBooks Online myself. We need more training ourselves to be able to help you with some of that stuff. But the conversion process itself is not really complicated. It sounds it, but it really isn't. Also, until, at least for the near future, at the end of each month when you're reconciling, you're still going to have to send me a balance sheet and a profit and loss sheet for the month that you reconciled. We'll definitely be doing that this month, probably next month also for January. They've not determined yet because they're trying to figure out on the QuickBooks Online, when things get saved, how Moose International will know that you have reconciled and transmit. So right now they're using me as a middle person to report that's getting done. So again, until we say stop, each month you'll have to send a profit and loss and a balance sheet to me so I can turn that information into Moose International. If you have any questions, feel free to get a hold of me. Like I said, don't worry. We'll be sending emails out. We'll give you time to know when I'm coming, or same thing with Glenn Neal or Intuit. Again, if you're on the payroll module and doing 19 or 20, you'll be getting contacted from QuickBooks themselves. They will not be coming from the lodge. They will be doing it online themselves also. But they have to do a few extra things that I either is above my pay grade or I supposedly I don't know how to do. So that's why they're doing the payroll version. But that won't start till January 1st. Everybody else we're going to try to have done before New Year's. So we're going to be moving quite quickly. Some of you will probably be getting emails from me today. That's all I have to say. If you have any questions, get a hold of me. I'm at 12 and a half minutes and I went longer than 10 was where I wanted. Again, I appreciate everything you guys are doing. The South is still rocking it. Let's keep doing it. Appreciate you guys. Take care.